Y'all.
Amazing. All right.
Y'all, my internet just went out. So that black screen, that buffering, and all that other stuff, like, I don't know how to tell y'all. Like, I don't know what it is. But I'm up now, and I legit am like, you know what? This is how you know when you're doing the right things. This is how you know that there's something that needs to be shared when everything comes against it. Like stupid stuff comes against it. Like, really, the internet's gonna go out? Really? Really? That's fine. Because I'm talking about the audiobook that's supposed to be out, and I know that the devil got it hemmed up, but that's okay. That's okay, because so many of you have bought the book itself and joined me for an amazing, amazing book club. And I think that that's what God needed to happen, anyways. And so, again, it was still a yes. So, high five, devil. Thanks for making it great. I don't know what happened today. Like, today has been so crazy. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but that's okay. We're going to keep going. So, going through February, brunch went amazing and was so good, but the week leading up to it was crazy. But again, there was this peace and leaning into God and trusting the yes that He had already given. So there were things that were just not going to deter me. Like, I just wasn't going to be upset. I wasn't going to like pass out from certain things. But then March hits and pandemic hits, and it really was crazy. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I definitely, my anxiety ratcheted up at least tenfold. And it was hard for me. It was very, very difficult because I felt like all of the plans that I'd made, all the things I thought God was telling me to do, were just getting put on hold. And I've talked to you guys about that before. But I had to realize that his no was really his yes, because he was stopping me from doing things that were going to have no benefit for me in this season so that I could focus on the things that he really needed for me to focus on. And so there was the yes, right? Because then I'm home, I'm with my family, I'm able to build these stronger connections and relationships with my children, with my husband. We literally, at some of you may not know this, but we went through a renovation also. So we were in a house that was completely torn up, like up from the beginning of March into February to August. So we were all four of us in one room every day, except my husband when he would have to go down to work because he also works from home. But literally, like, we didn't have any flooring downstairs, no nada. There was nothing there. And so I was going through this place of, God, you told me all these things are going to happen, but everything around me is chaos. Like, I don't understand what's going on. And somebody's calling me. But anyways, here we are. So I had to realize that the chaos and the no's that I kept feeling like were happening, they were him actually telling me yes to something else. And I think that that's something that we forget. Like, we have this idea of what yes looks like, but it doesn't necessarily match the promises of God. And that, I think, is super important. We get caught up in this idea and this look, and that's not how it works, because he comes to fulfill our needs and then our wants as a byproduct, but our needs are really his primary goal. And so a lot of the things that I had planned and I was working on, he was like, not really, those aren't the things I want you to focus on. I want you to focus on your household. I want you to focus on getting all that together. Because, yeah, you and Robbie are super good, but you can be tighter. Yeah, you and your kids are super good, but you can be tighter. Like, those are things that are
Mom,
important. Yes, my love.
can I get your phone?
I need my phone. Can I give it to you when I'm done? This is also real life.
I just have it.
No, I'm using it, baby.
I need it for a few minutes.
Hmm?
Yeah, you need to ask school or something.
You need to ask Google something?
Yeah. It's super cool.
Okay. Look, but go ask Daddy's Google. Can you ask Daddy's Google? Because he has Google on his, but I need it because I'm recording right now.
What?
Do you want to come say hi? You want to say hi? Come on, come say hi. Come. You want to say hi to the people?
I want to drink my drink.
Hmm.
I'm drinking.
So, where were we? Okay, so before Sterling interrupted. So, yes, so realizing that his no's are also yeses. And then there's this joy that comes with it because you realize that he withholds no good thing from you. He withholds no good thing from you. So, those doors that seem to be closing, those things, those projects that he's taking off the table are really for your good because he's making room for the things that you actually need to be focusing on. He's making room for those places that he needs to fill and fulfill. And I think that that's important because so many things that we've hidden away or we've put on the back burner, he's wanting to address those now. He's wanting to put you in places that you weren't expecting prior to this, right? And so that's what happened. Like I was thinking all of our events are getting canceled. I'm not being able to see people. I'm not being able to work on the projects I thought I was going to work on. And here I am. We released the nonprofit early. We released the grants early. We released scholarships early. We released some other products early. Like all of these things. And God was like, this is why I don't want you to think about what my yes looks like. I just want you to trust it. That's a yes year. Like there are so many things that I didn't think would be possible that have happened. And that's big. That's really, really big. And not just ministry wise, but personally. Like that's a big thing too. Because one of the things that happened for me and my husband this year was even our adoption plan. We have been talking about adoption before we got married. I wanted to do it when I was single. Like Robbie has wanted to do it single. And then when we got together, like it was always one of our plans, but nothing ever seemed to line up. So we just honestly, we were like, maybe it's just not going to happen. Like it's something that we desire to do, but maybe that's just not the will of God for us, right? And then in 2018, we decided to pick it back up again. And again, life just happened and it wasn't coming together. But then this year, when everything seemed to be on pause and I was like, I just don't know what's going on, that's when God started pushing the gas. And literally, we looked at each other like, we need to pick this up. And not only did we pick it up, but God began to do things in such an intentional way that I was like, Lord, I believe that you're actually calling us to this and you're telling us that we need to move now. But not only are you telling us, but you're telling the people around us who can make this happen. And so that's what it is. You begin to lean into and to trust God to be who he says he is. And then you receive the joy that comes from letting go of the control. We have this complex of always wanting to drive and always wanting to make things happen and always wanting it to fit a certain picture. But there's joy in stepping back and letting God do it himself because he's better at it. He knows the end from the beginning. He's the creator of all things. And it's time that we kind of lean into that, right? And so even with the adoption, like there were just some things that I'm telling y'all when we start talking about like the whole process and how it all just kind of came about, it really blew our minds. Like everything just seemed to just back to back to back to back to back. Like everything just kind of opened these doors. And even with our kids being home, we were able to save more money and really get ourselves in a better position for what we needed to do next. And we didn't even realize that was what was happening, right? But that's a part of the yes year. You're saying yes without knowing what the process is. You're saying yes without understanding why he's calling you to something that's so much bigger than you anticipated. And he is also saying, I'm the one who governs the yes, not you. And that changed everything for me this year. It changed everything for me this year. Because where I had this anxiety, where I was feeling so weighted down because I felt like things were falling apart, when I began to realize nothing fell apart. Nothing has fallen apart. Everything is coming together as it should. I think that's when I was like, How much joy can I have? And then he says, as much as you want. How much peace can I have? As much as you want. Sometimes it's not about the things that we have, and it's not about the accolades that we receive, and it's not about being able to tell others about all these amazing things going on. It's about being able to be at peace and being content with where he sat you. Because that's a whole yes. When we're not overthinking things, when we're not trying to control things, and when we're realizing that there is something greater that he's cooking up, right? So I think that it's really important to realize that you are going to really have to recalibrate in your yes year. So mentally, physically, spiritually. Because mentally, we battle with these anxiety attacks. We battle with hearing these other voices of people telling us what we should and shouldn't be doing, what we should or shouldn't be in life, what our purpose is or isn't, all these things. And you have to begin to really tell your mind, shut up. Just shut up. Because there is things that are being fed to you that were not meant for you. And you have to stop consuming that, because you will get yourself to a place where you have completely come to a deficit in your mind, and your mind is just full of trash. But that's not what this year is about. It really was a trimming away of the fat so that you could eat the choicest foods, and that you and your mind could be at its optimal point, because you are no longer overly inundated with all this stuff going on around you. You've literally been siloed so that you can sit in the quiet and hear your own thoughts and begin to think things through. It was never to harm you. It was never to harm you to take you away from certain people. It was never to harm you to take you away from certain jobs. It was never to harm you to take you away from certain projects. It was always to get you back to this place of your mind becoming clear. Because it's very difficult to concentrate and hear the voice of God when there's all these noises around you, when there's all these flashing lights all the time. Like, it is so intentional of God to bring you to this place of quiet that you have to begin to feed your mind what he wanted you to have in the first place. We get caught up on the sugary things and the fatty things instead of being caught up on the healthy things, the things that are good, the things that are comely, the things that are worth thinking about, the things that are praiseworthy. Like in Philippians 4:8, there has been so much noise. And for the first time in a long time, we have not had an option other than to sit still. So when you think of the effects of a yes year on your mind, when you think of that, it's a cleansing. It's a cleansing. Because remember, the yes can also be a no. And the yes is what is going to position you for the next step. But to get to the yes, your mind has to be cleared. And so that's how you know that you're becoming and you're stepping into a yes year, because you're starting to be put into these situations where you can only sit. And there's not anything that you can do. You can't control the space. All you can do is listen. Then when we talk about spiritually, right? I'm going to admit that there was a part of this year where I literally could not read my word. I could not pray. I was upset. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't understand this, God. Like, what are you doing? Have you forgotten who you are? Have you forgotten all these things that you've said? And then again, realizing I was so much happier. I had so much joy. I slept better. My household was happier. Like things that I hadn't been able to do, I was being able to do. I was like, what are you upset about? Why are you thinking that you're punishing God by not reading the word, by not praying? What is that? So the weight of the yes year came in that season for me in the spiritual sense, because I realized that I had a pride when it came to talking to him. And I was like, if you're not doing it how I want to do it, I don't feel like talking to you. We good on that. And this season had to humble me, because relationship is not built like that. If you stop talking to God or to your people because they're not doing it how you want them to do it, or he's not doing it how you want him to do it, then who's the worst friend? You or him? You or them? Your love can't be conditional with God. And so the weight of this yes year for me was a real look in the mirror and being like, you need to cut away all these dead things, these toxic things, these poisonous things that you're allowing to pull you away from him, because he's telling you yes about certain things and you're not ready because you still in your feelings and you still doing stuff because you can. Just because you're grown doesn't make you right. And just because he gives you free will doesn't mean that you want to operate in permissive will. That's not a thing. You want to operate in perfect will. And I had to learn that. And so the weight of this yes year on my spiritual life was really a stopping and an assessing of what I was doing and how I was doing it, and how I was studying the word, how I was praying, how I was engaging with him, how I was teaching my family about him, how I was learning who he was to me for me. It's really important that you understand that because there's going to be a lot of things that are going to happen and you still got time. So those of you that think you still haven't gotten a yes this year, you probably already have one. Let's just say that. But if you think that you haven't gotten one, there's still 3 months left in the year. And with that means that you are literally going to have to do some self-assessment, because what he's calling you to is really going to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. That's a lot. You're doing a lot, God. Why don't we stick with these small ideas? Why don't we stick with this small purpose? And he's not here for that. Not this year. Not for me. And I don't believe for you either. And so it really is important that as you begin to lean into him and to trust him, that you begin to fill yourself with the word and you begin to surround yourself with accountability partners, and you begin to intentionally pray and seek his face about what it is he's trying to tell you or where it is he's trying to lead you. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of things and a lot of ideas that God has given me and told me, and I am terrified, like literally terrified. But I've decided that I'm going to sit and I'm going to trust. And that is spiritual growth. Because a lot of times what we'll do is we'll go to the word and we'll look for a scripture that fits our mood, and that's what we'll lean on. And that ain't right. It's not about what's going to always make us feel good. It's about what is going to get us into deeper relationship with him. And so if you're wanting to experience a real yes year, then you have to be able to experience a real conversation with him. You cannot dictate the flow of his words. You can't. You can't. Okay. Now, let's talk about this physical transformation now that we've done the heavy stuff. I would stand up, but I don't want to scare the people. Your girl is thick. This season, physically, this yes year, I have leaned into these curves, honey. My clothes don't fit the way they used to fit. They don't. And I will tell you something. That has been one of the most incredible yeses of this year. And I'm going to tell you why. Because for someone who has battled with their weight up and down, and battled with self-image, this year I have become more comfortable with my body and being comfortable with what he created. And that's a lot, because the way that he's moving me and shifting me, if this had happened last year, I'd be like, oh, no, God, they can't see me like this. They can't experience me at my heaviest. They can't, no, that's not a good idea, God, because it don't look good on you. But how do we get to determine what looks good on God? And this year, in the middle of some of these big yeses, I had to realize he already knows what you look like. He already knows that you like sweet things. He knows these things and he loves you and he calls you anyway. And the physicalness of that, the joy that I've had in that, of realizing like I can love me as I am, that's big. But then it also helped me to realize that yes, you can love your body. You are not ashamed of your body. You're not ashamed of all this extraness you got going on. But now you need to learn how to eat healthier, how to really guard your temple and build your temple up. Because just like you're bringing your mind to subjection, and you're also recalibrating your spiritual relationship with God, you need to now take care of your temple. You have to take care of your temple. And I am really good at restricting myself when I want to be on a diet. I'm really, really good at those things. But I am not good at putting good things into me. Just like I'm not always good about putting good thoughts into my mind, and I wasn't really great about staying on top of my word, I had to learn like, you now love you, now act like you love you. Begin to feed yourself all the good things that he's called you to, the healthy things that taste good, but they are also good for you. And so just like you're preparing yourself for this next season, because this is a prep year, a yes year is usually your prep year, right? Because it's when the doors are opening. And so you're beginning to walk through them and you're beginning to learn this new landscape and you're beginning to learn these new partnerships and all these things. So it's usually a prep year. So you're wanting to prep your body for those things too, because if your body is lagging behind, if you're running out of breath every 5 minutes, you're not going to be able to run the race that's set before you, spiritually or physically. You can hang that up. That's not a thing. And so now I am really beginning to have a relationship where I realize that God really wants to speak to us holistically. And when he said yes to all of it, which means he said, clean it all up. Clean it all up. I have loved you and I have created you. And what I'm not going to let you do is throw it away. I'm not going to let you decide how you take care of it anymore. I'm going to show you how to properly care for yourself on every level. And so for me, I think that that was the biggest thing that I had to come into, like, wow, I'm loving my body. I'm feeling it. I mean, I don't necessarily love that my thighs rub together. I'm not going to lie, but I'm not panicked every time I step on the scale. I'm not panicked when I realize, like, wow, you look really big in the pictures, girl. Like, big, big. Like those types of things. Because I honestly feel like I had gotten to this place of discrediting God and how he had created me. And I had shied away from certain things because I felt like this isn't enough. This isn't good enough. Um, but again, we don't get to determine what looks good on God. We don't get to do that. And if he wants to wear us and show us off, then let him. Because in this year, in the 3 months that are left, I can guarantee you that he's gearing you up for something. He is literally gearing you up for something. I would never have believed that this would have been one of my best years ever. And I honestly have done nothing to deserve it. But when I think about my little family growing, when I think about God opening doors for nonprofit, like ministry, like all these things, my relationships with my friends are really good. Like, it's weird. You would think that this year will probably be one of the hardest, but I think when you begin to change the way you think about things, then you see it for what it is. He withholds no good thing from you. And so if he withholds no good thing from you, then that means all is well and all will be well. Right? Right. So I'm excited that this has been a special year for my family, a special year for me, but I think it's been a special year for you. And I want to challenge you to sit down and to really write out all of those things that you thought were going to happen. And even if they didn't, what happened instead? How have you grown? What has he put on the table that you never expected? What have you gained in this season? Even if it's just a sense and a spirit of contentment. That's enough, y'all. There is something so sweet about trusting his yes, even when you don't know the process, and you don't understand the process, but trusting it anyways. The promises of God are yes and amen. Always and forever, right? So here we are. I hope that you guys have gotten something from tonight. This is not what I did not anticipate the talk to go like this. I'm gonna tell you, but I was very, very, very flustered. Like when I tell you, when everything was going crazy at 8:30, I was like, oh my God, why? And then even when I was getting on and talking to you all for 10 minutes and it was on private, didn't know it was on private. And then when I get on the second time and it goes out because the internet goes out, but there was still a yes. There was still a yes. And if you'll trust me on that, I guarantee you that you will see the yes in your own life. This can be your yes year too. This can be your yes year too. Those things that you've been asking of God and you've been talking to him about, he hasn't forgotten. But how he chooses to respond to you is his business, not yours. But it is always good. It is always good. So, take the parameters of God off. Like, take them off. They're not for him. They're not for him. They're for you. Get yourself in line, put your seatbelt on, and start riding. I love you. I'm so excited. Thank you all so much for spending time with me tonight. Make sure that you join me next month, the first Saturday of November. It's gonna be lit. I think I'm gonna bring some people with me next time. I think I'm gonna do that. I'll keep you posted, but I think that's what I'm gonna do. And make sure that you hit the subscribe button so that you're always notified when I upload. Please share with other people. I want to make sure that we're connecting and that we're building community. But most of all, I want you to know that I love you and I appreciate you for spending some time with me. I hope y'all have a good night.